Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A variation that deviates from the standard or norm. The deviation from the mean. Deviate behavior. A turning aside of your course or attention or concern. The difference between an observed value and the expected value of a variable or function. The error of a compass due to local magnetic disturbances. A variation that deviates from the standard or norm. The act of departing. Euphemistic expressions for death. A variation that deviates from the standard or norm. The number that remains after subtraction. The number that when added to the subtrahend gives the minuend. A disagreement or argument about something important. There were irreconcilable differences. A significant change. The difference in her is amazing. The quality of being unlike or dissimilar. There are many differences between jazz and rock. A difference between conflicting facts or claims or opinions. A growing divergence of opinion. An infinite series that has no limit. A variation that deviates from the standard or norm. The act of moving away in different direction from a common point. An angle is formed by the divergence of two straight lines. A state or condition markedly different from the norm. Deviate behavior. The movement of the pointer or pen of a measuring instrument from its zero position. The amount by which a propagating wave is bent. A twist or aberration, especially a perverse or abnormal way of judging or acting. A turning aside of your course or attention or concern. A deflection from his goal. The property of being bent or deflected. The movement of the pointer or pen of a measuring instrument from its zero position. The amount by which a propagating wave is bent. A turning aside of your course or attention or concern. The property of being bent or deflected. A turning aside of your course or attention or concern. A digression into irrelevant details. A message that departs from the main subject. Wandering from the main path of a journey. A turning aside of your course or attention or concern. A message that departs from the main subject. An attack calculated to draw enemy defense away from the point of the principal attack. An activity that diverts or amuses or stimulates. Scuba diving is provided as a diversion for tourists. A turning aside of your course or attention or concern. A diversion from the main highway. An activity that varies from a norm or standard. Any variation in his routine was immediately reported. The angle, at a particular location, between magnetic north and true north. Ballet, a solo dance or dance figure. Biology, an organism that has characteristics resulting from chromosomal alteration. Something a little different from others of the same type. An emery wheel is the modern variation of a grindstone. An instance of change, the rate or magnitude of change. An artifact that deviates from a norm or standard. He patented a variation on the sandal. A repetition of a musical theme in which it is modified or embellished. Astronomy. Any perturbation of the mean motion or orbit of a planet or satellite, especially a perturbation of the Earth's moon. The act of changing or altering something slightly but noticeably from the norm or standard. Who is responsible for these variations in taxation? The process of varying or being varied. The quality of being unsteady and subject to changes. He kept a record of price fluctuations. An instance of change, the rate or magnitude of change. A wave motion. The fluctuations of the sea. Retardation sufficient to fall outside the normal range of intelligence. Marked strangeness as a consequence of being abnormal. An abnormal physical condition resulting from defective genes or developmental deficiencies. Behavior that breaches the rule or etiquette or custom or morality. An irregular asymmetry in shape, an irregular spatial pattern. Not characterized by a fixed principle or rate, at irregular intervals. Irregular and infrequent or difficult evacuation of the bowels, can be a symptom of intestinal obstruction or diverticulitis. Behavior that breaches the rule or etiquette or custom or morality. To break and turn over earth, especially with a plow. Turn the earth in the spring. Twist suddenly so as to sprain. I turned my ankle and couldn't walk for several days. Pass into a condition gradually, take on a specific property or attribute, become. The weather turned nasty. Cause to move around a center so as to show another side of. Turn a page of a book. Undergo a change or development. The water turned into ice. Let something fall or spill from a container. Turn the flour onto a plate. Cause a plastic object, to assume a crooked or angular form. The strong man could turn an iron bar. Undergo a transformation or a change of position or action. We turned from socialism to capitalism. Pass to the other side of. Turn the corner. Have recourse to or make an appeal or request for help or information to. She turned to her relatives for help. Turning or twisting around, in place. A favor for someone. He did me a good turn. Change to the contrary. The tides turned against him. Game. The activity of doing something in an agreed succession. It is my turn. A short performance that is part of a longer program. A circular segment of a curve. Sports. A division during which one team is on the offensive. A time period for working, after which you will be relieved by someone else. A movement in a new direction. The turning of the wind. An unforeseen development. Events suddenly took an awkward turn. The act of changing or reversing the direction of the course. He took a turn to the right. Go sour or spoil. The cream has turned, we have to throw it out. Accomplish by rotating. Turn a somersault. Alter the functioning or setting of. Turn the dial to 10. Become officially 1 year older. She is turning 50 this year. Cause to change or turn into something different. Assume new characteristics. The princess turned the frog into a prince by kissing him. Cuz to move along an axis or into a new direction. Turn your face to the wall. Cuz to move around or rotate. Turn a key. Change color. In Vermont, the leaves turn early. Change orientation or direction, also in the abstract sense. The mugger turned and fled before I could see his face. Channel one's attention, interest, thought, or attention toward or away from something. The pedophile turned to boys for satisfaction. Direct at someone. She turned a smile on me. Get by buying and selling. The company turned a good profit after a year. Move around an axis or a center. The wheels are turning. Shape by rotating on a lathe or cutting device or a wheel. Turn the legs of the table. Taking a short walk out and back. We took a turn in the park. The act of turning away or in the opposite direction. He made an abrupt turn away from her. To send or let go. They turned away the crowd at the gate of the governor's mansion. A movement in a new direction. The turning of the wind. The act of changing or reversing the direction of the course. Act of changing in practice or custom. The law took many turnings over the years. A shaving created when something is produced by turning it on a lathe. The activity of shaping something on a lathe. The end product created by shaping something on a lathe. A datum that can be represented numerically. A misconception resulting from incorrect information. A wrong action attributable to bad judgment or ignorance or inattention. She was quick to point out my errors. Baseball. A failure of a defensive player to make an out when normal play would have sufficed. Inadvertent incorrectness. Part of a statement that is not correct. The book was full of errors. Departure from what is ethically acceptable. Computer science. The occurrence of an incorrect result produced by a computer. Inadvertent incorrectness. The state of being flexed, as of a joint. Deviation from a straight or normal course. Act of bending a joint, especially a joint between the bones of a limb so that the angle between them is decreased. The state of being flexed, as of a joint. Deviation from a straight or normal course. The deviation, by a vessel or aircraft, from its intended course due to drifting. A manner of speaking in which the loudness or pitch or tone of the voice is modified. The patterns of stress and intonation in a language. Deviation from a straight or normal course. A change in the form of a word, usually by adding a suffix, to indicate a change in its grammatical function. A difference between conflicting facts or claims or opinions. An event that departs from expectations. A difference between conflicting facts or claims or opinions. An activity that varies from a norm or standard. Discord that splits a group. An event that departs from expectations. The quality of being subject to variation. An official dispensation to act contrary to a rule or regulation, typically a building regulation. A zoning variance. The second moment around the mean. the expected value of the square of the deviations of a random variable from its mean value. An event that departs from expectations. Biology. A group of organisms within a species that differ in trivial ways from similar groups. A variable quantity that is random. Something a little different from others of the same type. A variant of the same word. Differing from a norm or standard. A variant spelling. Exhibiting variation and change. Letters variant in size. A dried and smoked herring having a reddish color. A first draft of a prospectus must be clearly marked to indicate that parts may be changed in the final prospectus. Because some portions of the cover page are printed in red ink, a preliminary prospectus is sometimes called a red herring. Any diversion intended to distract attention from the main issue. The arithmetic mean of the absolute values of deviations from the mean of a distribution. The arithmetic mean of the absolute values of deviations from the mean of a distribution. An extreme deviation from the mean. A person who lives away from his place of work. A branch of applied mathematics concerned with the collection and interpretation of quantitative data and the use of probability theory to estimate population parameters.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.